Hi, I'm Ron, and this is my damn show. Let's get into it.
New today, the Department of Veterans Affairs announcing that nearly 2,000 more employees are being furloughed due to the government shutdown. According to the VA, roughly 37,000 employees are now furloughed or working without pay. That is almost 8% of the VA's total workforce. With us now to talk about this is Republican Congressman Warren Davidson of Ohio. He was also an Army Ranger. Thank you so much for being with us, Congressman. As I mentioned, and I want to start on this, you're a veteran, and we're looking at these VA furloughs, more of them. We should note that medical centers are still operational, disability benefits, military pensions are still going out, but there are really important benefits like the agency that helps vets with service-connected disabilities obtain employment. That's not operational. There's regional VA benefit offices that are closed, so briefings for service members transitioning out of the military, which, I mean, you're aware that's such a vulnerable time. That's not happening. What's your reaction to these additional furloughs?
I mean, the whole thing is very disappointing. I mean, the House funded this back in September, so we've waited a lot of time. And let's remember, we keep putting it on the floor in the Senate, and Democrats keep voting not to keep things running. So for them, they've said, yeah, we know they're suffering, but what we want is too important. So they've got $1.5 trillion worth of spending and policy changes that they want. They put it in writing, and they haven't moved. So I think a lot of people are disappointed, including a lot of the federal government employee unions. And, the CR is status quo funding. So we had appropriations going along. I talked with Chairman Cole, the chairman of appropriations. He felt like there was some bipartisan consensus in appropriations, but according to Democrat leadership, not enough. And so they decided that unless they could get what they wanted in this kind of hostage taking way, they were going to shut the government down. And Republicans, of course, we've got things that we want too, but we kind of front ran the negotiation and said, well, let's draw a truce and just pause at the negotiations and do a CR so that we don't run out of time and bad things like this don't happen. So I hope that Democrats in the Senate will come together and get the government open.
The SNAP benefits that millions and millions, tens of millions of Americans rely on are about to go poof, right? And a federal judge in Boston just indicated that she will intervene to get the Trump administration to use those contingency funds that USDA right now has said it will not use. What do you think of that?
Well, this is a court order, and I don't know what the basis is. It's not unprecedented for judges just to make stuff up. And ultimately at the Supreme Court, you have some future adjudication. In the meantime, I think, well, look, this is a court order that I think helps people, and I think the administration should use the court order to say, fine, we'll cut the checks and help people in need. But Congress is supposed to cut the checks. We're supposed to pass funding bills. And we offered legislation that would do things like this, like fund SNAP, like we offered a shutdown prevention act that would keep the government funded unless you intentionally turn it off. And then we offered a scaled down version that said if you're essential enough to be at work, then the payroll clerk that pays you is essential too. And some of these kinds of programs like SNAP, like our housing programs, there are people that need to get paid. And I get a lot of questions from constituents and say, well, if you've got a distinction between essential and non-essential employees or essential and non-essential programs, why do we have the non-essential things? And you highlight some of the functions within the VA, for example, that, essential is a definition. It's not really diminishing the importance of the job. I live right near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and we've got lots of people who are doing vital programs for national security, but they're not at work. Yeah. They're active duty military people are at work. We're trying to find ways to get them paid. But personnel are not making progress on projects, and we do need to move those. They are essential in the common definition of the word, but not in shutdown language. Yeah. And so all this word parsing and nonsense could be avoided if just 5 or 6 senators could do the right thing and get the government open.
Yeah, it's like how in an emergency, your body, the extremities shut down, right? Doesn't mean you don't need them. Obviously, you need them. There's almost 1.5 million people in Ohio on SNAP. The USDA has informed states that they will not reimburse those states if they kick in funds to make up the gap. Is that the right move? I mean, the USDA telling states, if you fund this, we're not going to backfill you on this later. Why do that?
Well, that's a good question. It is an interesting thing where if the government can carry it, can we actually bridge it? And I think this is a way that Democrats want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to say, yeah, we're not going to negotiate. And then they want to selectively prevent any consequences from happening. And the American people need to know that the consequences are part of the issue. I mean, Catherine Clark, the Democrat whip.
But sir, I want to ask you, because I just spoke to a food bank director in Texas. We just spoke to a food bank director in Texas, right? So, I mean, that's not a blue state. They're having this issue, right? So, I mean, it's not, this isn't a blue state or a red state thing. You've got a lot of people, and a lot of them are in red states.
Yeah, I think that having the program funded is the right thing to do. And look, the administration, I think they're trying to follow the law. And if you've got court opinions saying, oh, you can make exceptions, or maybe you're not seeing the law correctly, and here's a good, honest court opinion, fine. I think use that leverage from the court to do as much good as you can while you can. But in the meantime, we all know the right thing to do is to fund the government and then negotiate. And unfortunately, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have said we're not going to do that. I will say Jared Golden from Maine is the only Democrat that voted to do the right thing in the House, and there are a handful of Democrats in the Senate that did it. So we've got a clear majority in the Senate, but not 60 votes. And, you know, I think Democrats are trying to get Republicans to break the 60 vote rule, and instead of just doing the things that have worked for the longest time in positions they've long held.
Can you game this out for us? If we get to this weekend, open enrollment opens, right, and you have Americans starting to see the costs of their insurance premiums go up significantly without the ACA subsidies that are expiring and the Democrats are demanding be extended. That's kind of, you know, the hill they're dying on in this thing. Does that change the dynamic of this standoff as you see it?
No, I mean, so let's be clear, whose premiums are going up? Everyone's. The subsidies that you're talking about are Obamacare subsidies from COVID that Democrats put on during COVID, so that in the midst of a pandemic.
Okay, but that doesn't, that's going to, everyone's, I hear what you're saying, and I hear Republicans say that, Congressman, but the fact is people don't care. They look at the bottom line. They look at how much it costs them. They see a massive increase in their bottom line. That some argument about it being from COVID, well, a great discussion for us to have, doesn't matter for someone, a Democrat or a Republican, right? They're going to see the cost increase. Does that increase the pressure?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't increase the pressure on me. No Republicans ever voted for Obamacare. Obamacare for Democrats is working as it was designed to do. It was designed to administer a fatal overdose of government to America's healthcare economy, and it is. And it keeps failing, and the only way to keep it alive is to keep pumping more cash into it, and that raises the market price. So the market price becomes the traditional price plus the subsidies. And so everyone is feeling this pain. And it was by design that Obamacare did this. Republicans have said that all along. No Republican has ever voted for Obamacare. John McCain famously declined to get rid of it, but no Republican voted for these subsidies either. And even Democrats didn't have the votes to make them permanent when they put them in. So now they want Republicans to do what they failed to do. And by the way, this isn't the only thing that they're negotiating over. They say their whole $1.5 trillion package or nothing. So they want the whole thing. They might highlight one or two in an interview, but they want the whole $1.5 trillion. They put it in writing.
Congressman Warren Davidson, always great to speak with you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Okay. First of all, they could care less about your health care. Number two, what always gets me, Democrats never call in the national news, never call Republicans on this. Every time they claim the ACA is bad, Obamacare is bad, it was never fully implemented. I want to remind you, which, like I said, the national news never does, it was never fully implemented because when they first tried to introduce it, the bill first came about, Republicans had 1 million lawsuits. So many states. It was taken out. So many different things were taken out of the ACA. You actually could have kept your doctor if it would have been fully implemented. So they always bring up that one. It's the easy one to bring up. But they never tell you the second part. Because of the lawsuits they had, that part was taken out. It's because of them that it wasn't fully implemented, and it wasn't easy and affordable at the beginning. They never tell you that part. And I'm going to be short. Like I said, I'm not going to rant on and on about it. But I want you to remember that. The ACA, Obamacare, was never fully implemented the way it was meant to be because of the Republican Party. And now they run around telling you how bad it is. They don't tell you why. It's not what it was supposed to be. Why you need these subsidies? Because of all the lawsuits that they had. And they had these lawsuits. They weren't, for any good reason. Just because they wanted the old system. And they want to be hateful. And to remind you, that man sitting there talking, that congressman, he has universal health care. All of Congress does. But he doesn't want you to have it. Think about that. Donald Trump's giving $40 billion to Argentina. While Argentina is buying soybeans and cattle and selling soybeans and cattle to China. Think about that. While you have no health care. While the farmers are getting wrecked. Think about that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for watching.